Hi, hello, how are you? Thanks so much for asking. I'm doing okay. Now, like many of you growing up in the early 2000s, I'm what some might call a Disney Channel enjoyer. Am I a Disney fan? Pull up in the 13th year, what? Now, what a lot of people don't want to talk about is that elementary school was really hard work. And sometimes the only thing that could get me through the trials and tribulations of fighting other kids over silly bands, schmetzels, and Bakugan was the knowledge that later that night, I would be able to relax with the Danimals Crush Cup and put on a Disney Channel original movie, or DCOM for short. Now, I don't like to take much seriously, but one thing that I do not play about is an OG Disney Channel original movie. These were never just no degular made-for-TV movie, no sir. In my mind, 90% of them would be Academy Award eligible if it were up to me.
This is not a joke.
Lemonade Mouth.
There's one Best Picture.
Lemonade Mouth.
Best Picture.
Eddie's $1 Million Cook-Off, Wendy Wu Homecoming Warrior, High School Musical 1, 2, 3, Smart House. It was hit after hit after hit. Just look at the material. The best way I could describe watching a DCOM as a kid is how Nicole Kidman talks about going to an AMC movie theater. We come to this place for magic, yo.
For magic.
There's one DCOM that was very important to me as a child that I feel like people never really talk about. And that DCOM came out on January 25th, 2008. And it was called Minutemen. Inspired by, but not to be confused with the colonial militia, the Minutemen. Minutemen is a tale of high school bullies and nerds, oblivious adults, relationship drama, excellent trip, and time travel. I mean, what else could a young child ask for? So today, I want to revisit Disney's sci-fi romp, Minutemen, and share with the world why it's one of the best movies ever made. So the film starts with best friends Virgil Fox, Derek Bogard, and Stephanie Jameson as they're about to start their first day of high school. And I want to point out this moment 30 seconds in, and it might not seem significant because it probably isn't. So Derek and Virgil, they hop off the bus and Derek's like, oh, how do I look? How does my hair look? Virgil's like, oh yeah, man, like your hair looks great. How does my hair look? And then Derek looks him dead in his face and is like, oh yeah, man, your hair looks great. Liar! Virgil famously is wearing a hat. How do you know his hair looks good? You cannot see it. That is a red flag to me. I don't trust him already. And then 30 seconds after this, we're introduced to the most stupid handshake I've ever seen in my entire life. Scorch. What the hell is scorch in this context? The dictionary definition of scorch is to burn or char something. What are we scorching in this situation? I don't get it. I don't like it. It makes me uncomfortable. And for that reason, I will not be bringing up this handshake for the rest of this video because I think it's dumb. And I will not help this movie spread scorch propaganda into the airwaves. So the three of them have been besties for forever, and they're all talking about what extracurricular activity they want to join today. Derek wants to do football, Stephanie wants to do cheerleading, and Virgil, he just wants to kind of vibe. I don't know what he wants to do. Like, he goes with Derek to his football tryouts for moral support, and he's not sitting on the sideline. He's just gallivanting around the football field because, yeah, that's allowed. Eventually, the tryouts are interrupted by titular nerd boy science genius who's 2 years younger than everyone because he skips some grades because he's really smart. Tuttle accidentally loses control of his high-powered rocket golf cart contraption and tries to flatten half the student body like a flat tummy tea. And instead of trying to see if he's alright because he almost crashed and died, everyone decides to beat his ass. Naturally. And Virgil, being such a good person, he's not even that great of a person, he's just a decent human being, I guess, decides to intervene, and in doing so, he just ends up getting his shit rocked too. So the entire football team, including his friend, Derek, decide to put Tuttle and him in cheerleading uniforms and hang them by their pants on the Ram statue at the front of the school for all to see. And I think that this taught me, along with many children at the time, a very important lesson of how important it is to truly mind your own business. It's a long forgotten skill. A lot of people don't know how to do that. And I do want to point out a common theme that I've noticed throughout this movie, where all of the adults are apparently commanding generals in the IDGAF war because they're all useless. Like, the coach is standing right there while all of this is happening, and that man doesn't even bat an eye. Starting now, I'm going to keep a count of how many times throughout this movie the adults are completely useless. So that's 1 point added to the IDGAF counter thanks to the coach. But this scene is actually really important to the overall plot of this movie. This is an event that becomes known as the incident, and it's the incident that basically solidifies Virgil and Tuttle as complete losers for the rest of their high school experience. Now there's a 3-year time jump, so we jump from the beginning of high school to their senior year of high school. And we catch up with Virgil and Tuttle, who are now trauma bonded best friends who sit at the stupid little loser dweeb table in the cafeteria. And you can tell that this is the loser nerd dweeb table because their clothes are starched up. Like, oh, don't hurt them. Meanwhile, Virgil's old best friends Stephanie and Derek are revealed to be popular football jock cheerleader power couple who are much too cool to hang out with loser Virgil. We're also introduced to the film's final main character, Zeke, who's played by Nicholas Braun, aka Cousin Greg from Succession, aka Ponytail Dave from The Perks of Being a Wallflower, aka the boy who glows from Sky High. Cousin Greg, always at the scene of the crime. Unlike Virgil and Tuttle, I wouldn't necessarily classify Zeke as a stereotypical nerd. He's more of like an alt, weird loner type who likes really niche things like welding. So one day Tuttle is nerding it up as he tends to do, and he runs a computer program which basically confirms to him that time travel is theoretically possible somehow.
What you're looking at is a successful simulation of practical time travel.
So he goes to Virgil and is like, we need to build a time machine. But they need one more person to join their team that can help build it. And they're like, oh, we should ask Zeke to help us because he's good at welding. He's not super popular. He has no friends. Perfect. So they invite Zeke over after school one day to pitch him the idea. And I would hate to go over this entire movie and not bring up how much of a savage Virgil's little sister is.
Ew, he's gross. Jeez, Virgil, why can't you bring home cute boys?
Amy, leave now or I'm telling Mommy doing makeovers on the hamsters again.
Chill, I'm out of here. It's like I walked into an ugly contest.
An ugly contest? I just met you. What happened to hello? How are you? My name is. She only gets like 3 scenes in the entire movie, but she makes her screen time count. So Zeke ends up joining the team, and they decide they need a base of operations to run their time traveling shenanigans out of. They decide to approach the principal to see if he will let them use one of the rooms at the school for their new club. They run into Vice Principal Tolkien at school trying to get snacks out of the vending machine, while nerd boy from earlier, Chester, is literally stuck inside the machine. That's another point to the IDGAF counter, because rather than, I don't know, helping Chester, the vice principal's like, it's really not my business and some kids deserve to be bullied.
Aren't you gonna do something? Like what?
Change the way high school works?
Okay, fair enough. At first, he's super against giving them a room to use, but then they bribe him with literally 4 quarters. And he agrees. Times is hard because ain't no way. Alexa, how much do vice principals make?
Not nearly enough to be dealing with your crusty kids.
Oh. We get this fun montage of the guys gathering supplies to set up their time-traveling headquarters, set to perhaps the most important song of the 21st century, Like Whoa by Ali and AJ? Yeah. Hello? Yes, Academy of Motion Picture Arts? I think you've made a mistake. Can we get a recount? The best original song of 2008 is Like Whoa by Ali and AJ. So they successfully put together the time machine, and now all that's left to do is try it out and see if it works. Obviously, they're all scared to just mindlessly jump into this vortex they've just created. So Zeke and Virgil decide to throw Tuttle's pet cat named Albert Feinstein into the machine to see if the cat comes back or not. Pause. Can I get some W's in the chat? W's in the chat for the name Albert Feinstein? Yeah. So the cat comes back and they see that the machine works. So they decide to jump into the machine, go back one day and try to buy a lottery ticket because they know the winning numbers. Obviously that doesn't work because they are children and you cannot buy lotto if you are not 18. So they go outside of the store and they try to get a street performer to buy the ticket for them. And they're like, hey, we'll meet you back here tomorrow. Just give us the ticket, please. Obviously, he does not do that, and he just plays the numbers for himself and keeps all of the money. Good for him. But this does establish an important thing in my mind, where we know that in the realm of Minutemen, they canonically do not adhere to Marvel's rules of time travel. They keep it much simpler, no multiverse. If you go back in time and change something and you come back to the present, that thing is changed, okay? It doesn't change a different timeline, it just changes the one timeline that you're in. But now they know that the machine works, so what's next? Whereas I would do something really important, like go back in time to stop McDonald's from getting rid of the snack wrap.
You look lonely. I can fix that.
They decide to become time travel vigilantes to stop the bullies from humiliating the nerds at the school. A noble cause, I suppose. They see their friend Chester get pranked by these kids at school, and they steal his clothes after gym practice, so the whole school sees him naked and sees his booty cheeks. But luckily the vice principal is there, and surely he'll be able to do something about this minor gallivanting around the hallways naked. But what does the vice principal decide to do? Oh yeah, nothing.
Kid stole my clothes. Can you help me get them back?
I'd like to. Really, I would, but that would mean altering the delicate social system here at the school, so good luck.
Around this time, quirky side character Janet, or Jeanette, I don't really remember what her name is right now. She joins the team, and honestly her most important contribution to this whole story are these bad boys right here. These sleek, cocaine white, upper echelon, head-to-toe swaggerific snowsuits with the phenomenal eyewear. I remember after I saw this movie, I started trying to wear my brother's old winter coats just casually, which normally wouldn't be a problem, except for the fact that I live somewhere where it's consistently 90 degrees outside, and I damn near got heat stroke at recess. That's a lawsuit for you, Mr. Mouse. So they go back in time, save Chester, they feel pretty good about it, and that's gonna be their new thing going forward. Now let's check up on Virgil's old best friends turned power couple, Stephanie and Derek. Well, there's been some trouble in paradise. They've been having some relationship problems, because Stephanie sees that Derek sort of has some wandering eyes, and when she confronts him about this, he defends himself by saying this.
Come on, Steph. I mean, Jocelyn's hot, but she's a total bottom feeder. I would never go there.
Excuse me? Yeah, babe, I know she's hot, but... And Stephanie just pushes past this. Because I imagine Derek is basically like, babe, like, what are you talking about? Sure, Jocelyn's like really, really hot and sexy. Like, she's probably the finest girl in this whole school. My God. But you know, I probably hotter than you, but you know I would never do you like that. And Stephanie's ass is like... Okay, I forgive you. Please stop. So we get a bunch of scenes where the Minutemen go back in time to save some nerds from utter humiliation, and they gain a lot of popularity around the school, being called the Snowsuit Guys, which Virgil does not like.
And they're called the Minutemen, not the Snowsuit Guys.
It's pretty evident that the natural order of things is starting to get messed up because the nerds that they save end up acting like real jerks. Stephanie tells Virgil that she's up for a cheerleading scholarship and she needs to do good at the next game because there's going to be a scout there. However, unfortunately at practice that day, she gets hit in the head with a ball when she's at the top of the pyramid and falls off and breaks her leg. And Virgil, being the simp that he is, can't just sit there and mind his own business. No sir. He convinces the Minutemen to go back in time and catch her when she falls off of the pyramid. And when he catches her, she looks deep into his eyes, and you could tell that she's definitely like, wait a minute, I know you from somewhere. Vice Principal Tolkien also has beef with the Minutemen because of course he does. They knock over his diorama of the school and that really sets him off. So he has it out for them. During this, the Vice Principal causes a 3-person car accident and doesn't seem at all worried about it. One of the people in the accident is the street performer from earlier. And I like the implication that the street performer just canonically always looks like this. Even though he has won the lottery in this universe, that's just a part of who he is. Since Chester was saved by the Minutemen, he got some new clothes and has started acting just like an annoying jerk around school. And one day while he's acting out, Vice Principal Tolkien sees him, and rather than turning the other cheek like he does every other time, he decides to step in.
I will not tolerate students leapfrogging to a higher social status, so you...
Oh, he didn't do anything when Chester was butt naked in the hallway, but God forbid a black man wants to put on some new threads and bully a couple of his classmates. Now all of a sudden it's a problem. Oh, okay, yeah, I said it. He's canceled. Cancel Principal Tolkien. I'm adding a point to the IDGAF counter because yeah, he stepped in, but he stepped in at the wrong time. By this point, things are starting to get out of hand. The natural order of things is completely out of whack. And then Tuttle reveals to everyone that his research that he used to make the time machine was actually stolen from NASA. And NASA doesn't play about grand theft research, so they've been monitoring activity in the area, and they've deduced that someone at this high school has been time traveling. And now the FBI starts to trail the Minutemen. Oh, and whatever this is starts happening to the football field. Zeke and Tuttle clearly see that things are going a bit too far and they want to stop until things start to cool down. Virgil, however, is all for time traveling as long as it benefits him. Remember how I said earlier that Stephanie noticed that Virgil was the one that caught her when she fell off of the pyramid? Well, she confronts him about it and Virgil just immediately admits it. And Stephanie's just like, oh, okay, cool, yeah, that makes sense. No questions. She just accepts it very willingly.
That is so cool. How do you do it, huh?
So remind me to hit her up if I ever wake up and I'm stuck in a time loop. The next day is the big championship football game, and Derek, being the quarterback, he completely flops and the team loses. It's a big deal and everyone's really bummed. Stephanie decides to tell Derek, who is actively cheating on her, that their old best friend Virgil's a time traveler now and he could go back in time and save the day. And Derek's like, great, yeah, that makes sense. So they convince Virgil to go back in time and stop Derek from messing up the play. So now we get to the all is lost section of the movie where the main characters get in a big fight and stop being friends. You know the drill. Now that Virgil is useful to Derek again, he starts being nice to him and invites him over to his house for a party that he's throwing later. Virgil decides to ditch Tuttle to go to the party, and obviously that hurts Tuttle's feelings because Virgil didn't even give him a heads up. Later that night at said party, Stephanie catches Derek kissing the Jocelyn from earlier and breaks up with him. But Stephanie, we really can't act surprised. That's like asking, is water wet? He's been making googly eyes at her the entire movie. Derek approaches Virgil and makes up a story about how he didn't kiss Jocelyn. She kissed him. And that's not cheating because he didn't ask for it. So he wants Virgil to go back in time and stop Stephanie from ever catching them. And notice he doesn't want Virgil to go back in time and stop him from kissing Jocelyn. No, he wants him to go back in time and stop Stephanie from catching them. Which means, in theory, he can still kiss Jocelyn and just not get caught. Okay. And then Virgil's dumbass is like, yeah, I'll do it tonight. Zeke, Tuttle, and Virgil are all picked up by the FBI, but the FBI isn't arresting them, so they just let them go. They're basically committing terrorism and potentially going to end the world, but the FBI just lets them go. Zeke and Tuttle are rightfully both pissed off at Virgil because he's basically sold them out to become part of the popular crowd. There's a big dance at the school later, and Virgil got his wish because he's going to the dance with Stephanie as his date. In the meantime, Mr. Smart Man himself, Tuttle, realizes that all the time traveling they've done has started opening a black hole that will destroy the world if someone doesn't jump inside of it and close it from the inside. So he goes to tell the FBI what he's figured out, and they're like, damn, no way. That's crazy, for real? I would have never known.
Oops.
Derek shows up and pulls Virgil out of the dance and says it's time to go back in time and save my relationship. Chop, chop.
Come on, brother. It's time to go.
And for whatever reason, everyone sees this and assumes that they're about to fight. Not 1 ounce of hostility was shown between them in this moment, but I guess, sure, they're gonna fight. But the FBI shows up and explains the situation that, hey, the world's about to end and a black hole is opened on the football field. So Zeke, Tuttle, and Virgil all suit up one more time to jump into that black hole and hopefully save the day. And everyone at the dance is really hype about this. Everyone's in the hallway cheering, jumping up and down with happy little smiles on their goofy little faces while they're standing mere inches away from a black hole. The actual lack of urgency from anybody in this movie needs to be studied. A black hole that will end the world has formed and everybody's acting like they're on The Price is Right. Virgil's little sister even shows up again. Why does she show up to a high school dance? How did she get to a high school dance? I truly do not know. But the only reason she's there is to make a joke about her brother jumping into the black hole and dying.
So Virgil, I hear you're trying to save the world.
That's right. Big Brother's pretty cool, huh?
When you die, can I have your room? Mine is way too small, and...
What did I say? She makes good use of her screen time. For this whole scene alone, I'm increasing the IDGAF counter by at least 30. So the three of them jump into the black hole and are coincidentally spit out 3 years in the past to the first day of freshman year, aka the day of the incident. They land in a park that's filled with kids in the middle of the day, and let me tell you something, not one adult in sight. Where's the adult supervision in this town? It's getting scary. So they use some science contraption and end up closing the black hole successfully, and they have to wait for a portal to form to take them back home. I don't know. I don't get it, but that's not important. What is important is that Virgil realizes, hey, while I have some free time, he decides to race across town back to the high school and try to stop the incident from ever happening. Which sounds all great and fun in theory, but if he stops the incident from happening, then he would never become close friends with Zeke or Tuttle. Tuttle and Zeke realize his plan and tell him, hey man, you do what you gotta do, but we won't help you.
Listen, Virg, you do what you gotta do here. And if things aren't the same on the other side, it's been a good ride.
Luckily, Virgil comes to his senses and decides not to stop the incident from happening. And look at this CGI football that hits Tuttle off the cart. It looked mad goofy, right? For a minute there, things are looking pretty grim and it doesn't look like they're gonna make it back to the portal in time. But luckily, Virgil comes to the rescue with the high-powered golf cart and they save the world and make it through the portal and everything is good again. Yes! When they go through the portal, they're not spit out to the night of the dance. They're actually spit out 3 months in the past to the first time that they ever used the time machine. Now, with the knowledge of everything they did wrong, they get to redo the last 3 months of their life, which does ultimately make every event in the movie pretty much obsolete. And now they have to redo the last 3 months of high school. And frankly, their school sounds terrible. So was it worth it in the end? I don't know. At least Virgil learns a valuable lesson about friendship and he gets to tell Derek off.
And you were always gonna be a jerk, Derek. Have a nice life.
I would also like to point out I'm not 100% sure how this is possible because sure, they're back in time from before they broke the space-time continuum, but wouldn't there already be another version of them living in this timeline? I guess that's my question for the whole movie, because they just went back in time and they saw themselves the day of the incident. So that proves that there is another version of them that exists when they go back in the past. So what happens to them? In this new timeline, are there 2 versions of them, or did the version of them that was already there just disappear? I guess this is a Disney movie, so I'm not going to try to overcomplicate it too much, but it gives you something to think about. Another thing that I want to point out is in the very last scene of this movie, Tuttle starts going on about how he has discovered a way for them to invent teleportation.
Charlie? What does the word teleportation mean to you?
Huh?
It's the next big thing! Bigger than time travel!
Oh, hold on. Give me 1 second. I have to make a call real quick. Hi, yes. Mr. Walt Disney? Where is Minutemen 2 The Teleporters? The people want to know, where's the sequel? Welp, that was the 2008 Disney Channel original sci-fi classic Minutemen. Rewatching it now at my big age, the movie still slaps. Yes, it does. It's still a classic in my book. Sometimes I like it when my time travel is simple and easy to understand, even if it doesn't make a lot of sense. I go back in time, I change something in the past, it changes something in the future. No multiverse pish posh. As a kid, I never really realized how little the adults in this movie actually did anything. Which reminds me, the numbers are in. The final IDGAF counter lands at 40 IDGAF points, which is simply too high. I'm calling Child Protective Services. I also think it's very funny that a lot of this movie revolved around bullying, and in the end, nobody stopped the bullies. Everything that happened in this movie did get erased, so sure, Virgil learned an important lesson on friendship and not being a total asshole, but what about everybody else? Half the student body were terrible, horrible, no good, very bad people, and they never got their comeuppance. So I guess now the popular kids are gonna keep doing what they do and harass the nerds every single day of their life, and the nerds are just gonna have to deal with it until they graduate. C'est la vie, so is life. I guess it's the food chain. Hang in there, Chester. If you stumbled upon this video, thank you so much for watching it. I really, really do appreciate it. And if I was in the room with you right now, I would love to give you a nice, crisp high five because I love you. Yeah, I do. If you're feeling generous, feel free to subscribe, leave me a like, a comment, let me know what you thought. Thank you so much again for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye.